Thank you very much for attending our live stream session. And our title is Saan ba tayo maglalagay ng pera ngayon? Na kung saan maganda-ganda. Okay. So today is October 3. Okay, let's start. So first, let's talk about some facts, backgrounder, okay, that currently we know we are facing a strong dollar, okay, and resulting to a weak peso. So a lot of people are thinking that the peso is weakening. It's not actually the peso weakening, it is the dollar getting strong, okay? So the impetus is coming from the strength of the dollar more than the weakness of the peso. Okay, so at the same time, what we are seeing right now is that the market is down to close to pandemic levels. Okay, and it's at about 5,800. So we'll talk more about that later on. And of course, prices of goods are going up. Inflation fears are stoking, our economy, and what would be the implications of such. No? So likewise, all of these somehow contribute to our concern right now. That's the reason why we have our topic today. Okay, saan ba tayo maglalagay? So what are the implications of these events? No? Ano bang nangyayari kapag nangyayari itong mga consequences, no, of the peso weakening, stock prices going down, and inflation going up? So if prices are going up, then that actually provides some difficulty to many consumers. So then there would be less consumer spending, given that they have the same inflow of money. They would actually buy less, goods. Okay. The strength of the dollar would result to very expensive imports. So those who are utilizing imported goods and materials will be challenged, towards addressing their cost issue. Because many of the Philippines exports, would have an imported component. So if hindi tayo pwedeng mag-export without an imported component of our export materials or goods, no, or products. So then therefore, the cost of exportation will also increase, thereby our ability to compete in the world market will also be less. And we heard that some companies are, facing difficulties. In Mactan, there were a lot of employees that were laid off because of the company, especially the export-oriented companies are having a hard time coping with the rising US dollar. And the consequence of rising prices will result to an increase in interest rates. Actually, it started in the US, that they started having this inflation about middle of last year, and there was an ominous threat to increase interest rates. Pag tumataas ang interest rates, hindi po yan maganda. Kadalasan. Okay? Dahil, it will result to paired corporate profits. Bababa yung profits ng mga korporasyon. So, dahil mas mataas yung kanilang financing cost. So, then, essentially, kaya bumabagsak yung stock market. Okay? At the same time, the reason why stocks are going down, it is because some investors are moving into cash position. Okay, which means that binibenta nila yung stocks dahil nga merong threat of a recession, and pumupunta sila sa cash position. Nagiging defensive sila. So, dahil ang expectations is that interest rates is actually going to go up. And that's what has been happening since the beginning of this year, that interest rates in the US primarily, which is a superpower, wherein a lot of companies or the global economy would follow, is that interest rates had been rising since January to the tune of about 3% as of the moment. So they have increased already 3%, and there is a possibility of further increasing interest rates. So therefore, that would be a threat, to corporate America, to many economies. So at the same time, it will also lessen consumer spending, because now to borrow money is going to be very expensive. Okay, so that all of that somehow contributes to the current situation wherein we see stock prices going down, bond prices going down, because not a lot of people would want to be committed to long-term instruments. So stay put sila sa short-term instruments. Okay. So because of the rising interest rates. So when interest rates go up, you tend to be on the short term because after a few, perhaps 30 days, 60 days, upon renewal, you will have high interest rates. Consequently, when rates are going up, it is not good for the long-term bonds, because long-term bonds will actually, diminish in value or prices. Yan ang implications. And it's kind of challenging right now, okay, for many investors, not only in the Philippines, but in other economies or countries as well. Yan ang implications. So, ano yung ating money management challenge, with regard to all of these, the background, the events, the facts, and the implications of such events for us. So, as a person, as an investor, okay, ano ba yung dapat nating gawin? Saan tayo dapat mag-invest? Okay? Ano ba yung mga instruments na paglalagyan natin ng pera? And paano tayo kikita sa ganitong pagkakataon? Okay? So how can we possibly take advantage? So because clearly, when there is risk, prevalent risk in the market, essentially it somehow proposes some opportunities as well, that could possibly open up, and all you have to do is perhaps be able to spot it, and take advantage and act. So ano ba yung options? The options will actually depend on you. As always, it's a double-edged sword. Okay, it's always a combination of the plus and minuses, the good and the bad, the positives and the negatives. It's how you're going to look at it and how you're going to behave, in this particular scenario. So it all depends on you. The answer where we can possibly put our money, into productive assets or instruments will actually depend on you. What do you mean by it depends on you? It depends on your risk appetite. It depends on your investment horizon and your objectives. Okay, so do not go out there asking your friends where do they put their money, and that's where you will put your money also. Okay. No. Okay. Somehow investment is going to be a little bit personal, or personalized, which means that it will depend on your kind of personality, in terms of your risk appetite, your belief system, what you would want to happen with your money. Okay. So when we say risk appetite, essentially, dapat alam mo as an individual whether you are conservative or whether you are aggressive. But please, for Filipinos, do not um, be negative when you will be branded as aggressive. Mas maraming Filipinos conservative. I have discovered that. But few are willingly would accept that they are aggressive, because perhaps somehow there is some negative connotation about being aggressive. No, we're talking about strictly investments, and you have to decide whether you're conservative or aggressive. This is very, very important, okay? For you to know what you're going to do, okay? So there should be nothing in between, okay? I prefer talking to people who would know, their position, whether they're conservative or aggressive. And I've seen both types of individuals or even entities saying that they're conservative or aggressive. And for me as a financial advisor, it is very easy to advise if, clients would know, investors would know where they stand, whether they're conservative or aggressive. The problem is, many Filipinos are conservative, but I have seen they don't know how to behave like one. Okay? So, iba na ngayon ang milestones, ang definition ng conservative investor compared to 10 or 20 years ago. Okay? 20, 25 years ago, you can say you're conservative, you will be earning something like 10%, 15%, because there's even a time deposit that says 15% per annum, double your money in 5 years. 20, 25 years ago, that was made available. Pero pag aggressive ka, you can actually earn something like 20, 25, or even 30% in a year. But nowadays, the parameters, for being conservative has totally changed. You can no longer say that you're conservative and you're still trying to hit 10 or 15%. That already, occupies the space of being aggressive. To be conservative nowadays is that you are willing to earn less than 5%. Okay, because those are the rates that banks are actually offering. Okay, so in that light, we should be able to accept, the realities. Okay. At the same time horizon, speaks of the kind of investor that we are. Okay, if you're conservative, siguro dapat short term ka. Okay, if you can be aggressive, you can be long term, but actually pwede magpalit yun, You can be aggressive by putting short term, into your trades, and you can be also conservative by being putting it into long term, and still you are conservative, no? So it depends, on how you are going to take it, no, or how you're going to behave. Okay? So but then generally, depending on the asset class, no? Pag asset class ang pinag-usapan natin, yung mga instruments, normally pag short term talaga yan, textbook, considered conservative. Pag long term, parang medyo mas aggressive ka. Bakit? Because interest-bearing instruments would provide lower rates when it's short term, higher rates when it's long term. So by placing it long term, it means that you are absorbing more risk. Therefore, you are being compensated greater with higher yields. Diba? On that light, short is actually conservative, long is aggressive. But when you are going to perhaps trade or invest, okay, sometimes being a trader is like aggressive, and being long term is conservative. Okay? So because over time, mas malamang umaakyat yung stocks rather than nagiging mas volatile siya. So if you play the short term, mas volatile, chances are you will going to be whipsawed by the market. You can actually lose your money. So this is actually a double-edged, parang a concept, no, whether you are conservative or aggressive. Okay, but definitely it pays to know, okay, in your portfolio what are short term, what are long term, instruments, and then objectives. Napaka-importante. Okay, objectives is not about making money. Okay, making money is actually, a false objective, false primary investment objective. So the reason why a lot of people are, losing money is because they want to make money right away as the primary objective. No, actually, making money should be incidental to the objective. Ibig sabihin, it should be secondary to what you would like to happen. Because if that goes to be that on top of the list, chances are you will be making mistakes. Okay? So, kaya uunahin natin yung risk appetite, yung time horizon, yung objective. Pag sinabi natin yung objective, it's not about making money. It is about what you want to happen with your money. And that is preservation, having an income, or realizing a growth. Okay? So it's either you become conservative by preservation or you become aggressive by realizing growth. Having an income in your investment is also considered conservative. Okay? So, when you say that you're conservative, huwag mo sasabihin lahat ng pera mo should be growing over time. Wait, there is like a mismatch. Okay? Majority of your money must be in preservation and income more than growth. Ganun din, kapag aggressive ka, okay, dapat perhaps majority or a significant part of your portfolio must be growth. And then konti lang yung preservation and then income. Okay? So this objective also suits, the risk appetite of an investor which is conservative and aggressive. So consistent, conservative, aggressive, long-term, short-term, preservation, income, and growth. Okay. Now, what are your options where you're going to place your money? Essentially, in the financial world, in the investment world, there are only two asset class that you can put into. Okay, either financial assets or real assets. Real assets are tangible. Financial assets are the paper, instruments or asset class. Okay. Now, we are not going to discuss real assets here. Instead, we are going to discuss financial assets alone. Otherwise, this is going to be a lengthy discussion. The last time I discussed about financial and real assets, with clients, our discussion lasted for about 7 hours. Okay. So, tayo dapat 30 minutes tapos na tayo. So, going back to conservative, okay, where are you going to put your money when you're conservative? Okay. Dapat yan, nasa bangko lang yan, mga savings, time deposit, LTN, CD, etc. Bank products that are usually covered by PDIC. Okay, that is very conservative, safe na safe yung pera mo. Now, if you want to have an increased, yields, you go to bonds like RTBs, mutual funds or UITFs. RTBs, last time I heard, or retail treasury bonds, wherein you can invest as small as 5,000 pesos. Right now, I think it is providing a yield of more than 5%. Recently, I heard, someone in our group saying that there is already a time deposit that is earning 5%. I would like to think that that is relatively long-term. Okay? So, ngayon nagbabalikan na because our interest rates had been going up, since January of this year as well. Okay? Or late last year, nag-start na siyang umakyat. So, bonds, safe na safe yan. Hindi kayo malulugi ng malaki dyan. And then of course, preferreds. May mga preferreds ngayon that are giving you dividends that are in the vicinity of 5 to 7%. Okay? You can buy this in the stock market also. Okay? May mga companies nagbibigay ng mga private na mga preferred offerings, you know. Just make sure that you know what you're getting into. They are not created equal. Okay? Meron ako narinig nagbibigay ng preferred, zero ang dividendo. Ooh, okay? So dapat ang preferred merong dividendo yan. And of course, REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust, you can also get it from the stock market. It can provide you an income that provides dividends on a quarterly basis. So wag yun nang tignan yung presyo. Parang sa real estate, bumili ka ng apartment that gives you a rental income. Tingnan mo lang yung income. Income yung purpose, hindi yung growth ng pera. But then eventually, over time, you will expect that the money will also grow. Okay, the principal. So yung REITs prices is also subject to market supply and demand sentiment, you know, and volatility. Okay. Pero dapat ang objective nyo sa pagbili ng REITs is more of dividends rather than capital growth. Okay? So, ayan, pwede kayong bumili ng REITs. Saan pa kayo pwedeng maglagay? Okay, doon sa MP2 na medyo naging popular recently because mataas yung dividend yield. You know? So, makikita nyo dito, ladies and gentlemen, okay, ang the topics or the assets that we are recommending for conservative investors are those that are yielding an income, and at the same time there is somehow a security on the capital. That is essentially conservative. Okay, now we go over the fence. You know, doon naman sa mga aggressive. Okay? Definitely, stocks ang paglalagyan ninyo ng pera. Okay? This is much like partnering with the company, you know, being part of the company as a stakeholder, as a shareholder, and you will correspondingly, you know, be joining the company, you know, in their endeavor of doing business. Kasama ka sa profits, kasama ka sa loss, kasama ka sa dividendo, everything, even in decision. Right now, the forex market is very volatile. Okay? Dahil sa nga nangyayari. Okay? We see, you know, currencies, okay, our peso reaching an all-time low. Ganun din yung British pound nag all-time low, dollar index nag all-time high. You know, and there would always be opportunity, you know, in the forex market. Okay? So magandang ano yan, magandang alternative, so to speak. And then of course, cryptos. Laglag ngayon yung cryptos, ang baba-baba. Okay, I think Bitcoin is already somehow mga nasa 17,000 yata dollars, okay, which is the high coming from about 60,000, okay, plus. Okay, so it might be a good, you know, time to enter the crypto market. Then, marami ngayon naglalabasan, mga startup companies, okay, if you are aggressive, no, it's like you are going to partner with that business, believing in that business. May mga development, may mga hospital, may mga tech companies. Okay, madami akong naririnig ng mga startups. So, may mga service-oriented. Okay. So, it's much like getting into a business pero meron kang kasosyo. Okay. So, essentially, ang aggressive ay parang nandoon ka sa space ng you're taking ownership. Whereas doon sa conservative, you are in the space of lending your money. Let others, you know, other entities, you know, make use of your money, and then you will be compensated by an interest or a yield. Pero meron ding ownership na structure. And then of course, financing. Okay? Financing meaning Although hindi ito ownership, parang nagpapautang ka, pero yung medyo mas aggressive na financing. Okay? That can give you as much as, if the deposit can give you 5% per annum or dividend 5% per annum, meron akong alam na financing na bibigay 5% per month. Meron pa nga isa, 10% per month. Wow, pero pag masyado mataas, nakakatakot na. Okay. So, sa totoo lang, okay, my take here is that if I am the financial advisor, madali lang din namang mag-advise mas madaling mag-advise whether conservative or aggressive. As long as the client understands the position or willingly accepts, the consequence of being such, whether conservative or aggressive. Pero napapansin ko, ang conservative na yan. Hindi na yan pwede magiging aggressive. Pero aggressive investor, mas flexible siya, okay, dahil pwede siya maging conservative. Correct? Kaya sa totoo lang, mas madaling mag-advise ng aggressive. Dahil yung aggressive, pwede niyang gawin lahat yung ginagawa ng conservative investor. Pero yung conservative, hindi niya pwedeng gawin lahat ng ginagawa ng aggressive. However, okay, siguro wala akong sinabing bago, doon sa mga marunong na nakikinig ngayon. Okay? It's the same, but okay, it's not about the what and where. It is about the how and the why, okay, of investments. Yung what and where, madali yan sa totoo lang. Dahil wala tayong sinasabing, kakaiba, okay, dito sa ating discussion ngayon. Pero siguro ito yung iba na magde-define no value ng ating discussion ngayong hapon. Na wala kayong narinig na ibang investment o pagkakitaan ng pera na nasa conventional space. So kung titingnan natin yung typical portfolio doon sa mga sinabi ko, meron tayong mga bank deposits, meron tayong bonds, meron dividend yielding, merong equities, at merong speculative. Diba? Yan yung usually pinaglalagyan natin ng pera. Sa totoo lang, I would like to correct myself na ang conservative, hindi niya nagagawa lahat yung ginagawa ng aggressive. Not totally. Pero pwede siyang mag-invest sa stock market, ang conservative investor, yung lang hanggang 10% lang. Maliit lang. Okay? So, nakakita ko, okay, in fact, meron akong kliyente na medyo octogenarian na siya, nasa 80s. Okay? Lahat ng portfolio niya nasa bonds, no? Pero nung nakita ko na meron ng kita yung bonds, nasa dollar pa, I asked her to take it out from the bonds, cash in, dahil pwede nang umakyat yung interest rate, so bababa yung value ng bonds. At the same time, mababa yung index, yung stock market, paglagay ng konti. Okay? Yun lang. Okay? It's not even 10%. So, mas marami siyang bonds kaysa sa cash at that time. Pero slowly, I am building on the cash, as their advisor, which means that the cash is short-term. Okay? Mga nasa deposits, money market. Yan yung typical dapat. Pag conservative ka, dapat majority of your money must be conservative. And then you can invest a little on some aggressive issues. Assets like getting into stocks or index. Pero wag ka na siguro mag-forex or mag-trade. But when you are aggressive, 70% ng pera mo nasa equities. Nagki-crypto ka, nagpo-forex ka, meron kang konting bonds, meron ka pa rin konting cash. Ito yung typical portfolio. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, dapat pwede nating lagyan lahat ng assets, lalo na yung conservative. Yung aggressive, Yung aggressive, pwede niyang magawa yung ginagawa ng conservative. Pero siguro, hindi naaabot doon sa masyadong short term, to the extremes. In the same manner, the conservative can do some things that an aggressive investor can do, pero hindi na siya sa extreme. Hindi na siya nagki-crypto, hindi na siya nagpo-forex. Okay? Hanggang doon lang siya sa stocks. Yun na yung pinaka-aggressive. Si aggressive naman, siguro meron siyang forex, may crypto siya, may stock siya, may index. Meron siyang konting bonds, pero baka wala na siyang time deposit. Okay? Yun na yung extremes. Okay? Or savings, or treasury bills. So, pinaka-liquid niya is sa time deposit. Okay? So, parang ganun yung spectrum. Okay? That's a typical portfolio. But the portfolio of today, like I said, it's supposed to be focusing on the how and the why. And this is perhaps the most important aspect of my presentation today, that, okay, a conservative investor of today should be putting more money into cash into short term, okay, rather than the long term, rather than in equities, okay, or even real estate for that matter. Medyo babawasan. Okay. Meron pa ding bonds pero mas konti than the usual. You might ask why. Okay? It is because of the, like I said, of what is happening. Babalik tayo doon sa facts. So it's going to be, a total circle going back to where we started. Okay, that the reason why this is the recommendation, it is because of what the facts that were laid down initially. Okay, so at present, what is really going to happen is that we know for a fact that the markets are still weak, that interest rates are still about to go up. Inflation is also about to further increase. Okay, will heaten up. So therefore, what is perhaps a good thing to do right now is to lessen, our exposure into instruments that will be affected by the rising interest rates primarily. So, ang sinong tatamaan pag umakit yung interest rates? It's usually the stocks and the bonds. Dahil yung stocks, bumaba na nga ngayon dahil financing cost is getting higher, and core profits are being eaten up, eroded because of increased interest rates. Plus, increased interest rates would relegate them to borrow more money, okay, to finance their business. At the same time, those who were holding on to long-term bonds, would be selling because the expectation is that interest rates will go up. So they don't want to be locked up in higher interest rates. So therefore, the value of the long-term bonds would generally be lower. So what will be the shining asset right now? It is the short-term instruments, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we have to be a little bit defensive today. Okay? So that is the call of the portfolio right now, to be defensive. In the US, in fact, okay, this is the point wherein there is an experience of great level of money market instruments. Kumbaga nasa record high siya. So, ibig sabihin, many people are getting out of long-term assets such as stocks and bonds and then moving into short-term. So, without actually having the privilege of that information, actually, ganun din naman dapat natin gawin. Okay, that we actually expand our cash position while waiting for the market to bottom or interest rates to plateau, okay, and then we take significant actions. So slowly, if you are able to move away from long-term instruments, this might be a good time to slowly get into long-term instruments. So by defensive, we mean, okay, get into short-term If you are buying bonds, okay, it should be less than what is normal. If you are buying stocks, you should be selective, into the more quality stocks right now. Okay. As the stock prices had been coming down to record lows, several companies right now are buying back their own stocks. So which means that the market is getting into ridiculous levels for these companies to invest in their own shares. Okay. So plus some companies are even doing better, than the pandemic levels and then even or the pre-pandemic. So pero hindi siya nakikita nagpa-price in doon sa presyo nagfa-factor in doon sa presyo ng stocks. So there are still some gems in the market right now that you can still consider. Okay? But you just have to be very picky. And the reason for this is that, rates can still go up, inflation can still go up. There's still, a crisis, in between Ukraine and Russia. Okay, that is still unsettling. Okay, so medyo meron pa mga uncertainties, but slowly as we end the year, okay, there are some, what you call this silver lining. Sabi nga nila in the dark clouds that it's already, opening. So that is the end of my presentation. Okay. For more personal finance articles, you can go to my website, www.thefastexchange.com. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Fast Exchange. Okay. I have quite a lot of material there as well. And if you are, open to, getting free advice, all you have to do, is to write to me, Ricky So at thefastexchange.com, and we can arrange a Zoom meeting, okay, wherein we can address your concern, accordingly. Okay. So thank you very much for your